the nation from East St. Louis over here to California. Two parts of California were there, and we had Washington D.C. and I don't know. I guess I'm considered New York and South Carolina, but it was a little more diverse. I mean, a little more widened the sphere. And
Right, and also that the experiences in colleges were different from that previous generation too. Because you had people who were more urban. The first three, the majority of the students who were in Epi had grown up in the rural South. In fact, all of us graduated, were in South Carolina within 70 miles of each other.
Really?
Growing up. We didn't know each other, but we all came from that same area. Whereas, in your generation, there were people who had a more urban experience that also made a difference, I think. Yeah. So you all got together into this planning committee, and you even had more involvement now of Lumbee students and an Asian student.
Yes.
So did that change the dynamic? Well, I don't know. You wouldn't have known that it changed.
I wouldn't know. Because,
yeah, right.
But just the fact that they were going to, focus, say, minority issues were going to be addressed. That would change some
dynamic.
Some dynamics.
Yeah. So I know it resulted in a very positive thing. Were there any difficulties in students because here was like 3 or 4 non-black students coming into a group of, a dozen or so black students. Was it a very smooth thing? You don't remember anything?
I don't remember it being, it wasn't comfortable all the time. I didn't, and maybe because I was sensitive to the fact that, the language, that all the black students want to say black, the Black Caucus, and I'm trying to encourage my friends to attend and to contribute what they can. They were excellent students. So we're trying to survive.
Yeah,
the bottom line was survival. And so it was a good experience as far as I was concerned.
Right.
Now I don't think that some folks that may have differed with it, I don't think they participated. Like I said, I think it had to do with the fact that you want me to get involved. I don't even need to get involved. I need to go on back home and do what I have to do as far as commuting and stuff.
Yeah. I do think, as I look back on it now, I realize that there was a shift that was occurring, and I thought it was a very positive thing. I expected that there might be issues from time to time because we had been so focused on black power kinds of rhetoric, until sometimes using that kind of rhetoric in a group when not everybody was African American could be difficult or uncomfortable for them. But I was pleased and with the experience that people had, that we could listen to people from other communities and so on.
My co-workers that I'm talking about, Jenny Ying and Cherry Beasley.
That's right.
We worked on a course for Dr. Hatch with regards to minority health workers. And to me, it was, I loved the library anyway, and back in those days, it was just wonderful being able to go. That was a part of the course, to find articles that would help to document the minority health provider, the professional, and some of the things that were going on. And so we came with a perspective of working together with other groups and seeing how other groups are also having some of the same problems.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Having to focus on that. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember a number of conversations with the Bray Boys.
Okay.
I think there were 2 or 3 Bray Boys. Mm-hmm. Gene and I can't remember the other Bray Boys. They were all Lumbee, and got me interested in the whole Lumbee struggle. Mm-hmm. Which is an amazing story that unfortunately even now people don't talk about very much. But I think that in learning that history from them and reading on my own, it was the Laurie brothers, mm-hmm. the Laurie gang is what European Americans call them. But that whole experience and knowing that there were other people who struggled as much as African Americans,
And they had 3 different school systems.
Yeah.
The Indian, the
right.
black, and the white school system down in their community.
That's right, in Robeson County. Absolutely. Yeah. So that opened my eyes up to the fact that this struggle is not just black and white. Mm-hmm. The struggle is not about, it's about racism in all its forms, and carries forward now to the struggle of Muslims here in this country and Mexican Americans or Hispanic, Latino is what I guess I should say, struggles in this country. Today is that, that the problem, the issue is far deeper than just skin color. Yeah. Just my group. It's across the board. So anyway, this conference actually has been the history of these groups coming together. Today, I am always fascinated when I go to the Student Caucus meeting. I've only been a few times, but when I go, the majority are European Americans, or at least they look like European Americans. But the enthusiasm and the willingness to work together and the focus on the issues, remain as strong as it did back then. Mm-hmm. So that's a very positive thing from my point of view. Mm-hmm. So
on the eve just about of the conference for this year.
Yes.
It's kind of exciting to see the topic that mm-hmm. they have chosen.
Right.
So, social justice.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing how that falls into place.
Right. Right. Yeah, I am too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you end, though, could you say a little bit about your experience as a student, what it was like, not with caucus and the conference, but just being a student here, and how you think other minority students felt at the time? And
I don't know. I came here having worked 2 years as a public health nurse, so I had experience as compared to these college students that just came into to graduate program. For me, I also had given up quite a bit. I had an apartment in New York and come down to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It was a real transition for me as personally. I happened to have had a sister here that helped it as far as the change. But my change, I chose to live in New York for a reason. I like a lot of things going on. So when I came to Chapel Hill, I could very well focus on getting out because there was nothing else to do. I got involved in a couple of organizations, graduate professional students. I was part of them. I was part of the Dean's Council. I was part of, so I wanted to occupy my time and be proactive, I guess. Let's see, as far as the student...
Did you feel discriminated against particularly, or...?
I had difficulty looking for someone to serve on my committee, and that was interested in the topic. I was interested in ethnic diversity, and once it was defined, for me in the nursing department, there wasn't a whole lot of support. ended up getting support, but it wasn't a committed support. I had to go to the education department to get a committee member, and then
Education, the School of Ed, you mean? The
School of Education, which is appropriate, and that was Hank Frierson was my.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I was listening. That's what the young man who introduced me said. I said, no, that couldn't be his.
He's not related. I've asked him.
Okay, and then my other committee name was Tony Whitehead.
Really?
I think it was Tony. Yeah, it was Tony.
Tony was in health education.
I had forgotten he had been on my committee.
Yeah, wow.
Tony was in health education.
I know.
That's right.
That was. It was that or John Hatch. I can't remember which one.
Well, both of them were there.
But yeah, health education.
Tony had just come in as a young professor.
Yes, and so I'm thinking, I have to go back and look at my thesis. I have to open the book. I hadn't opened it up.
So were you doing a doctoral degree?
No, it was a thesis. It was.
So how many people were on your committee?
I had the faculty, the nursing faculty, and 2 other people.
Oh, so it was larger, because our committees in Epi have been only 2 people for masters.
Yeah, well, I had, and that one.
Oh, for the masters.
Yeah,
Masters.
but yeah. Yeah.
I can remember having people for my masters in Epi.
Well, you have your advisor, and then you have a co-advisor, and we don't usually call it.
I had a co-advisor.
A reader. A reader.
Who?
A reader. I mean, there's 2
Yeah,
switches.
right. All I remember was Amran.
Well, but you were doing a PhD.
But I also picked up a master's, though.
Here?
Yeah.
The
MPH is here.
But you should have the paper.
See, there should be somebody besides your advisor. There should be a reader.
Oh, okay. I don't remember who that was.
Let's look it up.
Amran was so powerful and so,
He signed
so
both places.
dictatorial. I'm sure you would.
He said, "You signed." Somebody probably did.
That's right. Yeah, he was. My experience here was interesting. It was very different. That's kind of interesting.
Well, I just said that, just that was what I left.
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
Because see, I having then been exposed to doctoral students, I was thinking that I might be interested. But after that thesis, I didn't want any part of the doctoral program after that because I just felt unsupported. I felt like I was pulling along and stuff. But that's the way I felt.
Yeah.
I didn't have. There wasn't any real support in nursing as far as. Nobody in nursing, the program was active in the student caucus, and you all were in, a different kind of science and stuff. So, I didn't know which way I wanted to go other than I didn't want to go any place where, the nursing department was going to follow me. So. I can see why a lot of nurses go into other areas like health ed and health administration. Because nursing is usually seen as they eat their young, eat their young.
Yeah,
the military says they eat their young. And so I really felt that it wasn't encouraging and stuff. So I had 1 or 2 good faculty, really involved. Like there was one called Beatrice Mangio.
Yeah,
she was a midwife or something.
Yeah,
and she was kind of eclectic and whatever. How she was fun. She was a good person.
Yeah.
But there were other people that were very, very rigid and stuff. So.
Is there anybody else that you remember positively?
Dorothy Talbert was the chair, and she was kind of fair out there. I say more cosmopolitan in the sense that she had lived other places and done a number of other different things, and so I think she wanted more for the students than the milieu, the attitude around. So she was positive. She would see us going to her house and. Having chit chats and that kind of thing, but the other ones weren't as what I expected on the graduate level and stuff. So
that's interesting. I guess partly because I was recruited here by John Castle, and then I was given to Abdul Andaman. Both of them was very strong personalities, and I can remember the first day I came into the department. I had been in government, so I had these brown holy envelopes with my paperwork in it. And this well-known professor in epidemiology kept telling me to just leave the mail. And I stood there. I didn't say anything, partly because I was a little pissed, so I wasn't going to respond because I didn't know how I was going to respond if I did respond. And he came by 2 or 3. He said, didn't I tell you could just leave the mail? But once Castle got finished with whoever he was talking to, and I went into his office, things were a lot different. Except for the fact that he smoked a pipe, which sort of freaked me out. But then I was also recruited by Joan Canoni. I was in Joan Canoni's husband's department at Georgetown. And Joan Canoni was very welcoming to me. So I felt extraordinarily comfortable, except, because of the support that I had, people were so nice to me, and I was thinking, why are these white North Carolinians nice to me? Jesus, this is crazy. They were always, how you doing? Come back, you're here. And I'm thinking, whoa, this is really strange. And in fact, the reason that I was so anxious to leave was because I found myself getting incredibly comfortable at Chapel Hill. And I knew that's not what I wanted to be about. I did not want to be a professor at Chapel Hill. I wanted to go to CDC. I wanted to, I had this goal in my head, but I didn't want to mention it to anybody. But the goal was simply, I wanted to change the face of public health. And I would say that to myself, even though I would never say that to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start saying it publicly? Because you did, at a certain point you told me that your objective was to turn Atlanta into a center for black epidemiology.
Yes, well that was a part of the whole change.
And when did you start saying it? But you told me out loud. That was...
Yeah.
When did you start saying it?
Well, the two things went hand in hand, because I wanted to use Atlanta as a base for training African Americans in epidemiology. You got to remember, before, at that point, there were only 3 of us who actually completed a PhD in epidemiology. Because even Sherman didn't get a PhD in epidemiology.
Who were the other 2 besides?
George Miller was...
George Miller.
Yeah, George Miller, Andrew Keller, and myself. Huh?
George Miller came through here?
George Miller was at Hopkins.
At Hopkins. And the other person was Andrew?
Andrew Keller, who worked at the VA. And I think he had a DRPH or something like that, actually. Andrew Keller did. And then right after that, we were competing for the door. Jerome Wilson, he swears that he actually beat me by a few days. I swear I actually beat him by a few days.
That's good, you're both happy.
Yeah, right. And then Leo came a few months after that.
Now, I thought Leo was in Haddam. Or did he start in Haddam?
No, he was at Epi.
I wonder if he did a master's in Haddam first.
May have.
Why did you say Haddam versus...
He was different than the rest of us in Epi, in the sense that he was not science. His background was not science.
Yeah, because he was a contemporary of my wife's in Haddam.
Oh, okay.
Back in early 70s, so
right,
that's why I got confused.
Yeah, he was not a science-oriented person, but he was in the department. That was one of the things that made him a little different, So anyway, but yeah, my whole time here, I came to Chapel Hill. Somebody told me about an old farmhouse. I renovated an old farmhouse with an acre or so. I was living the Chapel Hill life, and my wife was on faculty, and she was doing extraordinarily well. She was an extraordinarily brilliant and talented person. So, life was comfortable, and that's what scared me when I realized how comfortable it was here in Chapel Hill, and I realized that if I was going to do anything with my life, I had to leave Chapel Hill, because I could never find... That's the problem I'm even having right now, is that I feel incredibly uncomfortable and frustrated because it's too comfortable in Chapel Hill. It's, I'm not, huh?
I mean, I'm sure people are saying they wish that they were very comfortable and stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sure people would think that it's great to, be in a situation where you never have to work and you have a nice environment and a nice family and nice everything. But for me, that just makes me incredibly lazy and frustrated with myself. And so I need to walk without a net. And I think having retired from government is probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. Because I have no
Fix.
Yeah, huh?
You can't get your fix from anything.
No, I can't. I'm not driven by external influences. My drive only comes from internal, and I'm somebody I need to be driven externally.